Hello everyone. So last time I recorded a blue-black deck that was completely awful. Like I did very badly with it. So ever since I dropped that deck very quickly, and ever since then I've been playing this deck, a blue-green profit deck that is actually very fun and pretty good in the current format. The new format last time basically the same, except for there's a lot more mono black. There's like an incredible amount of mono black in the format right now. So I've been playing this deck for the last like 2 weeks. Well, last week was kind of weird because there was a lot of testing for GP or GPDC, which is Legacy. So I'd been playing a lot. I've never played Legacy before, so have been play testing a ton of Legacy in order to prepare for this event. That, as it turns out, I found out I'm not actually going to. But so last week I was not playing block at all, basically. But the week prior, I've been playing this deck pretty much non-stop. A bunch of 2-mans, a couple dailies, which I 3-1 both of. And yeah, I don't know. I very much like this deck. Prophet feels like one of the best cards in the format when you actually let it resolve. So basically what the deck is sort of like a tempo control deck. You just play your Satyr, or not your Satyr, your Caryatid. This deck doesn't play Satyrs. And then you want to play either Pelucranos, if you're lucky, or you just hold it and play a Prophet on like turn 4. And once you play the Prophet, you have to play it so that you don't get it like Lightning Struck or anything like that. But you play your Prophet and then you immediately untap with it. Like you just pass turn. So it's like it reminds me of one of the free spells from Urza Saga, like Time Spiral. So you just cast your Prophet, untap, and then you can cast whatever you want in your hand. And Prophet makes all your cards incredible because, as it turns out, giving you free mana and giving your cards flash are both good quality staffing cards. You can do cool tricks like block Stormbreath Dragon with Prognostic Sphinx, pump up your elemental tokens with Master of Waves, and more. All these things just completely possible with Prophet. And so how the turns play out most of the time is you want to just leave open your mana all the time. The games where you don't have Prophet, you'll end up just playing out your threats like Master of Waves and Pelucranos and Prognostic Sphinx. And those are the games I find myself losing a lot of because I just don't have the main tool of the deck. So instead you want to just kind of leave open your mana even when you don't have Prophet. Like on the early turns, you can play Boon Sathyrs to pressure them at the end of their turn while leaving open Dissolve mana and having Voyage's End. And of course, the secret best card in the deck, Sedge Scorpion. Sedge Scorpion just blocks a wide variety of things in the format. Is incredible with Flash, and also incredible with Bident of Thassa, which is one of my favorite cards in this deck. Bident of Thassa allows you to completely dictate combat. Also, I believe X Mimics, who's a grinder on Moto, compared it to Prognostic Sphinx with a Bident active. This is basically just Vampiric Tutor, because you can scry 3 and then immediately draw the card that you want. And obviously it's not quite Vampiric Tutor, but also with Bident you can make your opponent's creatures attack into your Sedge Scorpions or your Pelucranoses or your elemental tokens. So just completely dictate combat. Bident is a little slow, but it's usually worth it because the deck wants to... It's not a very fast deck. It's not, so it can afford to just wait a couple turns to set up what it needs to do to just overwhelm your opponents. Mana base is a little straightforward. We've got 9 forests and I believe 7 islands. Yep, 7 islands. And then 4 temples of mystery, obviously. The duel of choice in this deck. And 2 green temples and 3 blue ones. Just for extra scry, setting up your draws, trying to find Prophet, that sort of thing. The sideboard is what I've been the most concerned with. One thing to know is I only play 3 Prophets in the main deck. A lot of people play 4 and only 3 Pelucranos. But Master of Waves is not a 4-drop. Like especially in this deck where you have no Omen Speakers or nothing to Devotion. So if you try to play this on like turn 3 or 4, it's just going to be a 2-1 with a 2-1 buddy, which is pretty miserable. That's why I'm only playing 3. Like 4 you always want to play on turn 4 pretty much. Master Waves is usually like a turn 5, turn 6, turn 7 card when you have a Prophet or a Sphinx or a Bident out. and you can make multiple tokens. I do not have... Obviously, this is block, so you don't have the luxury of just going Nightveil Spectre, Master of Waves, and having your Master be incredible. And as such, the fourth Master of Waves resides in the board for matchups that you do end up going long. Usually this is mono black and other control decks, for which Biden also comes in. And the sideboard's actually fairly straightforward. You want, against red-green, you want Voyages in, Bow of Nylea, and Curse of Swine. Bow of Nylea to make their Stormgrowth Dragons mediocre once you're attacking into Prognostic Sphinx. Also pumps up your profits out of bolt range, and the life gain is super good against them. It gives you a lot of time to draw the cards you need to like overwhelm them. Because once they play their Pelucranos and their Dragon, they don't really have much going for them. They can't really draw cards like we can. They don't have any Bidents. They don't have Sphinxes to set up draws and stuff like that. They'll be playing like Magma Jets to try and draw what they need to, which is not ideal because it doesn't kill anything post board. And Hunt the Hunter is a card I'm completely unsure of. I boarded in the mirror, of course, but I've been boarding it in less against the red-green decks because every time I seem to draw it, my Sedge Scorpions are dead and my Pelucranos is the only other green creature that's really worth using. Profit is fine, but usually once you have Profit in play, you really don't need to Hunt the Hunter most of the time. But I've been boarding this in less and less against it. I still boarded in a copy, but I want to find out a more ideal sideboard configuration, but I did not have time this week to do that. So we'll be playing with this one. Fade into Antiquities for the troublesome gods like Erebos, and actually that's pretty much the only gods played right now. The artifacts are way more problematic. Bow of Nylea, Bident, the Whip of Erebos, those are all things that just need to die as quickly as possible. Gainsays, obviously for countering blue spells, against the Mirror, which is the only blue deck I expect to be played. Though some people have been playing a sort of like a black-green control deck with Ashiok's. BBD was playing that a couple days ago. And I've seen another blue-black deck that is a lot different than the one I played. I still don't think it's that good, but people are playing it in a very few numbers, so I figured Gainsay is good against them too. And Disciples are pretty much just filler. There's not a lot of good sideboard options right now since there's only one set in the block format, so Nylea's Disciples is just like a decent card. They're fine against aggro, especially heroic. They're decent bodies, and they just like perform whatever you really need them to do. There's no specific matchup they're amazing in. But if your cards in the main deck aren't that good, you definitely want to board into some Disciples. And that's pretty much the deck. The daily starts in a couple minutes here, so I will hopefully bring home a trophy this time and get right to that. See y'all when round 1 starts.